On this episode of the Red and Gold Report, I'm breaking down the first round of the NFL draft that just concluded for our Kansas City Chiefs. And I got to tell you, I am so excited about the two players that the Chiefs were able to nab in the first round. This was just what I was hoping for. And I'm pumped to share with you about both of these players. Seriously, earlier this week, I did my draft preview and I was dreaming about Karlaftis and McDuffie. I mean, these were two of the three players that I highlighted in that preview video. And somehow, the Chiefs are coming out of the first round with both of the players that I was hoping for. Now, things got really exciting in the first round for the Chiefs and Chiefs Kingdom at pick 21 when the Chiefs traded up for that selection. We gave up our 29th pick in the first round and also a third round pick and a fourth round pick to trade with New England to get up to that 21st spot where the Chiefs took Washington cornerback Trent McDuffie. Now, what's my take on the pick? This is an excellent value pick for our Chiefs. I had McDuffie as a top 15 player. PFF had him as the 11th best player in the entire draft, and the Chiefs got him at 21. That's amazing value. And of course, to make things even better, corner was a huge position of need for the team. McDuffie has been a consistently excellent cover man over the last 3 years at Washington, meaning unlike many other players who go high in the draft, he didn't just play well in his final year. No, he graded great in coverage for all 3 years. He has unbelievable acceleration and change of direction skills when you watch him on tape. He's very aggressive. He plays with great awareness in coverage. He only missed 6.9% of his tackles for his whole career. Think about that. A cornerback who only misses 6.9% of their tackles. That makes him the best tackling corner in this entire draft. And in coverage, last year, he only gave up 111 yards receiving. 111 yards receiving for the whole season, even though he played in 296 coverage snaps. And for his career, he gave up less receiving yards than both of the cornerbacks who were taken way before him in this draft. He also ran a solid 4.4440 at the combine. And if you track through the cornerbacks who have been taken out of Washington University, well, you'll see they have an excellent track record lately. So why in the world did this guy not get drafted until 21st? Why in the world did no one else take him until the 21st spot? Well, 3 reasons. 1, he's a touch undersized, but if you watch the tape, he plays a lot bigger. 2, he only had 2 interceptions in his college career. And 3, he played a lot of zone in college, but I think he's going to really excel in man coverage in the pros too. That's why he dropped, but man, none of those are my problems. I mean, this guy was excellent corner in college, and he has all the physical tools. I have him pegged as a day 1 starter for sure. Now, the reason this is such a good value is, to me, he was right up there with the first 2 corners in the draft. And both of those corners, well, they were taken in the top 4 selections. In fact, in many ways, statistically, McDuffie was better than both of them. Look, as I talked about in our draft preview, this is a player that I had highlighted for the Chiefs. But, of course, we're going to have to give up some picks to trade up if we wanted to get him. And that's exactly what the Chiefs did. And they did it without giving away one of their second rounders. So, this is a brilliant trade by the Chiefs front office. A brilliant trade and a great draft pick in McDuffie, the corner out of Washington. Then, oh man, I am so excited. The Chiefs were able to stand pat with the 30th pick in the first round and draft Purdue defensive end George Karlaftis. Okay, so I've been talking about Karlaftis as one of my favorite players in the entire draft for a few months now. I mean, when I turned on tape of him, I'm like, that's the guy that I want the Chiefs to get. I just loved him, and I have for weeks, for a couple months, really. It's interesting. He kept getting pushed down draft boards leading right up to the draft. But I wasn't alone in thinking that he was excellent. He was the 10th best player in the draft according to Pro Football Focus, and he was the 8th best player in the entire draft according to Bleacher Report. Now, why is he so good? Well, when I watch tape of him, he has a relentless motor. Seriously, it never stops. And to me, that is the number one best trait that a pass rusher has to have. That just, I am going to get there, that willpower, that effort. And he's got it in spades. He has explosive hands. Unlike a lot of college defensive ends, he knows how to use his hands and leverage. He has explosion and power in his hands. He is a strong player. He has great anchor. He has good technique. And he has amazing bull rush. He is more of a bull rusher than just a speed rusher. He has the rare modern defensive end trait that means that he can both be a rusher off the edge and anchor against the run. He's an excellent pass rusher, receiving a 90.6 pass rush grade last year from PFF. And he has the flexibility to also bump inside to defensive tackle. And so you have that flexibility in your scheme. So why did a player like this that I liked so much and who was ranked 8th and 10th by other, really major people who grade these players going to the draft. How does a guy like this drop all the way to 30th? Well, simple. And you heard it in the national ESPN draft coverage if you were watching the draft live. The media thought, this isn't an elite athlete. But I disagree. Yes, he only ran between a 4.71 and a 4.76 at his pro day. But that's not bad for a player who plays around 275. And get this, he had a vertical jump of 38 inches. 38 inches. That is the explosion that you're looking for. And it's better than all 4 of the defensive ends that were taken before him. So I just do not buy that he's not a great athlete. That's not who I see when I turn it on the tape. This is an amazing player. And you know what? We got him way after he should have been taking. It's a great value pick. And you know what's best? He fills the biggest position of need that the Chiefs have. We had to get a starting defensive end, and this is who we got. And fun fact, Karlaftis is a native of Greece, and he moved to the U.S. at age 13. So, both of these picks, McDuffie, the corner out of Washington, Karlaftis, the defensive end out of Purdue, what do they have in common? Well, obviously they're both defensive players. But here's what I really like about them. They're football players. This time of year, players move up and down the board based on things that just don't matter. I mean, you saw this with the first overall pick. Walker, who went to the Jaguars of the first pick, that was not the best player in the draft, not by a long shot. I had him rated like the 20th because you know what? It doesn't matter how fast you run if you never put it together in college. It just doesn't matter. And both of the guys that the Chiefs got, McDuffie and Karlaftis, yes, they're good athletes, but they're football players. They graded well over time, over multiple years in coverage in college, had good stats. I mean, these are football players. This is exactly what we needed, a shot in the arm for our defense. I love both of these picks. My wife always gets mad at me every year because I usually get angry with what the Chiefs do in the first round, but not this year. Not this year. No, I am thrilled with both of these picks. Now, with those 2 first-round picks in the books, the Chiefs still have 2 second-rounders and 1 third-rounder to get excited about tomorrow. So what would I do with them? Well, actually, I would trade them and move up into the beginning of the second round. The 2 second-rounders are both late in the second round that we still have. So try to nab a player early in the second round that can really add to this defense, or maybe a wide receiver. I'd be looking at players like Houston defensive lineman Logan Hall, North Dakota State wide receiver Christian Watson, Minnesota defensive end Boye Mafe, and Oklahoma defensive end Nick Bonito. It's going to be a very interesting second and third round. You got to watch it tomorrow. It's going to be really fun for the Chiefs. All right, so what else was interesting about this first round outside of the Chiefs during this draft? Well, the first 5 players chosen in the first round in the NFL draft this year, they were all defensive players. All of them, first 5 picks, all defensive players. That's the first time that's happened since 1991. Also, no quarterbacks were taken until the 20th pick. That is the latest that we've waited to see a QB come off the board since 1997. So a couple very unusual things. But the night, well, it was really all about wide receivers. A.J. Brown, great wide receiver from the Titans, He got traded during the draft to the Eagles. Hollywood Brown was traded during the draft from the Ravens to the Cardinals. That makes four veteran wide receivers who were traded in the first round for first round picks this year when you include Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams. Then, of course, six. Yes, six wide receivers were taken. That's the most since like the 2004 draft. It was an incredible first round. I'm looking forward to 2 more days of this draft. Make sure to watch for my day 2 breakdown of the draft tomorrow night and day 3 breakdown on Saturday. If you haven't subscribed and you want weekly Chiefs news brought to you here on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Thanks for watching. Go draft and go Chiefs.